Thank you so much, Oilers Marching Band. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Jim Gormley, and I'm privileged once again to be your Master of Ceremonies for this wonderful celebration. May I ask you to please stand for our national anthem. Please remain standing, ladies and gentlemen. The POW-MIA empty chair is a physical symbol of the thousands of American POWs, MIAs, still unaccounted for from all wars and conflicts involving the United States of America. And now, Mike Ali, a member of American Legion Post 133, will place the POW-MIA flag on the empty chair. Mike, post. And would you please remain standing as we have the Pledge of Allegiance read by Explorer Post 558.
Place your right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please remain standing now for our opening prayer to be led for us by Reverend Brad Steenstra. Brad, please.
Let us pray. God, our refuge and the ultimate source of our strength, we ask you to be present with us now as we gather to salute our veterans, all those women and men who unselfishly put on a shiny uniform and then wore it until it was faded as they served their country in one of the branches of its armed forces, bravely giving their youth, their talents, and sometimes even their lives in order to preserve the gifts of our freedom and security. They chose to endure the many hardships involved with their deployment, whether it was the bone-chilling cold of mountain heights and ocean waters, or oppressive jungle and desert heat, blisters from marching through mud in soggy boots, or hunger that went unsatisfied by barely edible rations, the fatigue of endless training, or the mind-numbing boredom of waiting for orders to engage, the bodily wounds suffered in battle, or the distress to the soul caused by memories that can never be easily purged. They accepted these miserable conditions and performed their duty admirably anyway. Therefore, it is only fitting, gracious God, that we come to programs like this today, to give you thanks for each of these sisters and brothers. And yet we know that honoring them in this way is not nearly enough. So we ask that you move in us to do two more things. First, enable us to work on their behalf, advocating that they have the resources they need so they can transition fully to civilian life at the end of their commitments. Because they often return to us with mouths made too dry to pray for themselves. Hear our request that the nation they serve might be made willing to offer them not just the respect they have earned, but all the assistance they deserve. Our military veterans have faithfully borne the burden of America's defense. Now give the rest of her citizens the resolve to shoulder the load of providing them with appropriate resources for their care. And secondly, Lord, inspired by their sacrifices, help us to carry forward to future generations the values they worked so hard to protect and preserve, that their labors on behalf of all our people prove never to have been in vain. Amen.
Thank you very much, Reverend. Please be seated. By honoring veterans, we remember their valor and reflect on why they served. Veterans served to preserve the values of America. They served to preserve our right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. They went where they were sent. They did what they were told. They prayed that they would return home to family and friends. Some did not. However, Veterans Day honors veterans, the men and women who make a difference in Huntington Beach and throughout the nation. Historically, the celebration of this day is based on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, 1918, the end of World War I, the war to end all wars. As of course we know now, such was not the case. As we honor veterans, we do well to remember that our freedom did not come easy. On the battlefields of the globe, America's finest men and women have shed blood and tears. Ladies and gentlemen, today, President Donald Trump called for 2 minutes of silence at 11:11. It is now 11:11. I ask now that we have those 2 minutes of silence. Huntington Beach is dedicated to remembering the legacy of all veterans, because what these men and women have done for us matters to us, matters to our city, and matters to the United States of America. From defeating communism, fascism, and imperialism, to keeping the peace during the Cold War and battling terrorism today, veterans have accomplished remarkable things throughout our nation's history. So I ask, why in the world would we celebrate a day like Veterans Day? Because we care. At this time, I ask that all active duty and veterans stand and be recognized. These are real American heroes. God bless our veterans, and may God please continue to bestow his bountiful blessings upon the United States of America. Veterans, please be seated. So at this point in our program, it is only fitting then that I ask our great mayor, Mayor Del Glaze, to please come to the phone. Barbara. please come to the microphone.
Good morning, everyone. And before I start my city welcome, I'd like to have you all welcome as well Mayor Pro Tem Mike Posey, City Council Member Lynn Sametta, City Council Member Billy O'Connell, Patrick Brendan, I thought I saw Eric Peterson somewhere, Eric Peterson, Jill Hardy, City Attorney Michael Gates and his lovely family. I don't know if I see anybody else, but past elected officials, Joe Cartio. Thank you. On behalf of Huntington Beach, welcome to today's ceremony. I'm honored to be speaking today on such a significant occasion. As the writer Maya Angelou said, how important it is for us to recognize and celebrate our heroes and our sheroes. We gather to honor our service members and to remember the sacrifices they made and the honor and courage it took to defend honor, duty, and country. Today we remember their achievements, their courage, their dedication, and to say thank you for the sacrifices and those of their families. The fear of losing someone imposes upon the people whose loved ones are in the military. Their loved ones' hearts skip a beat every time they go to duty, and the pain when they do lose their loved ones must be unbearable. That is the value of the sacrifice made by the brave soldiers of a nation. Thinking of the heroes who join us in this group today, and those who are here in spirit, a person cannot help but feel awed. We stand in the midst of patriots, family, and friends of those who have served nobly. I'd like to ask the service members and veterans who are here today to stand so we can acknowledge you one more time. Thank you for your answering your call of duty. You have made our armed forces the most respected in the world. Now I'd also like to thank or ask the family members of any service member here to stand. We know that you've lived through difficult times and often take a heavy load to keep your home fires burning. Thank you for what you've done and continue to do. The service members that we honor today came from all walks of life, but they share several fundamental qualities. They possess courage, pride, determination, selflessness, dedication to duty, and integrity. All the qualities needed to serve a cause larger than oneself. Many of them didn't go to war because they love fighting. They were called to be a part of something bigger than themselves. They were ordinary people who responded in extraordinary ways in extreme times to defend our freedoms and our way of life. The legislation that created Veterans Day was, and I quote, dedicated to the cause of world peace and to be hereafter celebrated and known as Armistice Day. Today we not only honor the armistice and those who served in World War I, but Veterans Day, renamed as such in 1954, now honors all veterans from every war, conflict the United States has ever encountered. As a nation, we made a proud promise to honor our fallen, and we must keep that promise. Today, as people throughout our country gather to remember and honor and pay gratitude to those who have served our country, we know our gathering is just a tiny spark in the flame of pride that burns across the nation today and every day. It is the perfect time to renew our national spirit. We are reminded that freedom is never free. Our promise to honor our fallen is reinforced when we strengthen the programs and the services that our injured and ill veterans rely. We keep our promise when we ensure that they and their caregivers are properly supported. We keep our promise by fighting for our veterans when they cannot fight for themselves. I am thrilled that the city of Huntington Beach has partnered with the American Legion Post 133 to bring hometown heroes to our city by displaying banners representing the local active duty heroes during our patriotic holidays. And I'm proud of the work that the American's largest veterans service organization does to welcome and support our veterans from all branches of the armed forces to our city. If you can, please stop by the Veterans Car Show today, Huntington City Beach. It's free, it's open till 3 o'clock today. The show benefits U.S. combat wounded veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. And then I just want to personally thank you again for attending today. God bless our men and women in uniform, past, present, and future, and may God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor Barbara. Every Veterans Day, in addition to honoring our veterans, we bring someone in who not only has served in the military, but has done so in a way that is a bit out of the ordinary. And today, I'm privileged to introduce to you our guest speaker. However, before I do, there are a few things that you should know about this individual. A 29-year veteran of the United States Army. Black Knights are leading, by the way. Enlisted 10 years as a service member. A graduate of the United States Army War College. A bachelor's in education from Rutgers University. A Master of Science from the United States Army War College. United States Army Medic, RVN, 69 to 70. Assistant Professor of Military Science, UCLA, ROTC. Office of the Chief of Staff, U.S. Army Pentagon. Assistant Deputy Commander-in-Chief, Mobilization and Manpower, Special Operations, MacDill Air Force Base. And here are a few firsts. And now you're going to know that at least half of the people in this audience don't qualify as the speaker, and half of you do. Graduated the first female class, Fort Benning Airborne School. First female assigned to Armed Forces Television Europe. In her resume she put Weather Girl. Developed and executed the Army's first leadership assessment program. Planned and executed formal leadership training program in the U.S. Army, officer training program. She has a list of awards that run from here to Seal Beach. However, I won't read all of those. There are a few, though, that you should be aware of. A Legion of Merit, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, 3 oak leaf custers. The Meritorious Service Medal, 3 oak leaf custers, the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and then the Meritorious Service Medal, and then the Joint Service Commendation Medal. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I very much am privileged to introduce to you Lori McCabe, Colonel, United States Army, retired.
Thank you, Jim, and Mayor DeGlaze, and all of our city council members. Good morning, and happy Veterans Day. We recognize military services during the year, but today is a special day where we honor and celebrate those who served our country. And those citizens include many of you. Also, the local men and women that you see on the banners going down Main Street. And speaking of veterans, did you see the article about the first woman who completed Ranger School? I'm sorry, 2 women completed Ranger School. We now have women in special operations. That is a wow. In addition to anyone who actually completes the Ranger training, I couldn't help but look back on my experiences in the Army. So I thought I'd talk with you about the changes the military has made on making it an equal playing field for men and women. And by talking about my experience in the military, I hope you give you an idea how women have progressed. And I hope my Army stories illustrate how the military has recognized the contributions women make and how services have opened the doors of opportunity. So the best way is to start in the beginning. I enlisted in 1969. I know you're going, why? She looks so young. We were at war in Vietnam, and it was the days of the WAF, the Women's Air Force, the WACS, the Women Army Corps, and the Navy WAVES. I was surprised to find out that WAVES is an acronym. It stands for Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Services. And we had our own services, and we were definitely not on equal footing with men. And in basic training, women didn't have weapons qualification, and we certainly didn't do physical fitness. Instead of weapons qualification, representative from Revlon Cosmetics came in and taught us how to do our makeup so we looked like proper young ladies. And our first formation in the morning, the drill instructor would inspect us for makeup. And if you didn't have at least lipstick on, she couldn't say get down and give me 50. She would tell you you had KP for the day. And physical fitness? No way. Instead, hairstylists came in and cut our hair to regulation and made us look like proper young ladies with a style that met our facial features. But in 1978, things got better for women because they took the WAF, the WAVES, and the WACS, and they disbanded them. And they included the women into the men's services. So now I'm in big Army. And in order to show how sincere the Army was about this directive, Airborne School opened up to women. And I was really happy that I was one of the 5 women selected and graduated from Airborne School. The thing is, I can't do anything with that award because women can't go into combat, and all the jump positions are in combat units. So I have an award, but nothing to do with it. And I had the pleasure of being the first female in American Forces Television, and like Jim said, I was the weather girl on the 6 o'clock news. And I also had a talk show Monday through Friday at 4 o'clock. This was pretty cool. I was also, in 1993, the first female to serve as an adjunct professor at UCLA, and I taught military history. But the most fantastic experience I had in my whole life was being assigned to Special Operations Command, Tampa, Florida. Now, considering Special Ops consists of Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Airborne Rangers, and the Air Force Pararescuers. This is amazing for any woman to be stationed with them, and I took particular pride I was there as one of the first. However, my job was impossible because no one would talk to me. For 3 months, I walked down the same halls and saw the same people, and I didn't get a nod, I didn't get acknowledgement, I didn't get a good morning. This makes your job really, really difficult when no one talks. So what I did is I went and looked and saw my position was a jump position. So now I have airborne wings and I'm in a jump billet, I can go jump. But it's been a really long time since I had airborne school, so they give you a refresher course. Now, refresher course consists of 3 hours of watching videos of guys jump out of a plane and get caught on the door, run into the wing, jump on another guy's chute, or their chute doesn't open. So I'm not so sure I really want to do this. And the final thing they do is there's a harness that hangs from the ceiling, and you're put in the harness and you're supposed to get out and do a 5-point landing. Well, I'm in the harness, and those of you who go way back in airborne school, there's a dial in front, and it's red, you're dead. Well, I'm sitting in a chute, there is no dial. So Sarge, how do I get out of this? And the Sarge looks at me and he rolls his eyes and he goes, ma'am, how long has it been since you jumped? And I said, 1972. Ma'am, I wasn't even born yet. The little brats. On my 50th birthday, I decided to get my Class A freefall license. So I went to the drop zone where the Special Ops demonstration team did their training. And they would train until about noon, and then at 1 o'clock it was sort of free jumps. And they would always include me. Now think about it. These guys have anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 jumps, and I have 25. But the thing is, you get to learn a lot more from people who are better than you are. So I just really had great trainers. And in fact, after every jump day, we'd sit around and tell stories about what we thought our jumps were like. And the president of the demonstration team stands up and he says, Lori, we took a vote. And we decided that you should be on the team. I'm going, wow. Think about it. These are Navy SEALs, Green Berets, Rangers, pararescuers, and they want me on their team. Thing is, in order to do a demonstration, you have to have 200 jumps. Like I said, I had 25. So I went out to the drop zone every single chance I got, and I jumped. And instead of going up to 14,000 feet, which is where you normally get out of the plane, I asked the pilot to drop me off at 5,000. So I dropped, ran around, packed my chute, got back up again. And in the course of 1 year, I got 200 jumps. Now I get to do demos. And you know what my first demo was? Opening ceremonies of the Indianapolis 500. Doesn't get any better than that, does it? In 2003, I graduated from the Army War College and was stationed at Central Command in operations. It's right after we had shock and awe. I was the only female designated as an operational team chief. I had 60 people working for me, and we planned and executed the Iraqi war. I was the only female on the operations floor. I hope these stories sort of illustrate to you how women have moved forward. It was slow, and not all experiences were pleasant. When I was stationed in the Pentagon, I was called in and asked to dye my hair brunette so I would look more intelligent. Those guys are no longer in the Army. They didn't want me to look like a dumb blonde when I walked into the briefing room. And when my boss told me, I'll never walk the walk, I'll never talk the talk, and as far as he's concerned, women do not belong in his army. He's also no longer with us. Not dead, he's just not in the service. So granted, a lot of doors have opened up because I'm a woman, and I took advantage of the opportunities. But there were a lot of doors that were closed to me too. Women have come a long way from having our own services to making deployments in Afghanistan. The services all slowly adapted and accepted the equality of men and women, and I was happy to be a part of it. The service have evolved a lot during our time, and we're involved in multiple deployments around the world. Our military is all volunteer, and today we celebrate the men and women who, by choice or not, served in the defense of our nation. Today, when you see a veteran, stop and say thank you for your service. And I thank you for being here, and I wish you a very happy Veterans Day. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Colonel Lori. Now, let's hear some more music from the band, shall we? have the privilege of introducing our congressional representative, Dana Rohrbacher. Good morning, sir. How are you? Very happy to see you. Thank you, sir. At this time, we will remove the POW flag from the POW MIA chair. Honor guard post. I'm going to have you please stand for our closing prayer given to us by Chaplain Al Ramirez. Al, please.
Join me in a prayer. Father, we just thank you for this country. Thank you for this beautiful country that we have. Just thank you for giving us the privilege to be in here. This is a great country. But it's great because men and women with great ambition, a great desire to make this country great, have given their lives and given their time, and their families have suffered and worry during this combat. Lord, we just thank you because we just enjoy this freedoms, freedom of speech, freedom of worship. We have the freedom to go anywhere we want to go and freedom to do anything we want to do. Lord, I ask you that you would help us not to forget that the reason why we enjoy these freedoms is because men and women have given their lives. And it's not just one day we celebrate, Lord, but every day that we have, that we enjoy this freedom, we need to remember that people went unharmed ways to give us that freedom. So we ask you that you would bless their families, bless our veterans, bless this country. And don't let us forget that this freedom has been paid with blood. We just thank you for that, Lord. Help us to remember our veterans all year round. In Jesus' name, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our program. Thank you for honoring those who served our country to ensure our freedom. And remember, freedom is not free. Thank you so much.